My name is Aisha Ibrahim, and this is Election Brief. Within the next 30 minutes, we have the latest update from the political scene. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and all our social media handles at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is @Denana Aisha. Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, and Chopbox Technologies, a convenient service. Election Headquarters is for an informed electorate. Please do stay for details. NDC flag bearer John Mahama says he will make appointees in his next government who engage in mining to resign. Speaking at the 3rd annual transformational dialogue on small-scale mining at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, attended by the academia, John Mahama said he will not entertain people in his government who will be mismanaging the environment and which will in turn have devastating consequences on the environment. He says as a leader of the NDC and incoming president of the Republic, he's deeply committed to working with all stakeholders to chart a new vision for the mining industry.
The proposed small-scale mining cooperatives we're talking about will differ in all forms from the existing community mining scheme, which has undeniably become a conduit for enriching party chairmen, DCs, and other politically connected individuals. Indeed, in my government, if you're a minister or a DC or an official and you undertake mining activity, I will ask you to resign and go and you either choose to be a public official or choose to be a business person running a mine. At the same time, we cannot overlook the years of Galamsey activities that have left our country with legacy scars. We propose some initiatives to restore degraded lands, rehabilitate impacted forests, and clean our polluted water bodies. These initiatives will restore the environment and create thousands of jobs in the affected mining communities. We will establish a reclamation fund into which all legal mining operators will contribute.
Well, I've been joined by Ken Ashigbi, who is convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. I would also be joined by Richard Ahiagba, who is Communications Director of the NPP, and also Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. Let me start with you, Ken Ashigbi. What is the current state of our fight against Galamsey? Right, so Ken Ashigbi, he's been fighting, his group, they've been fighting for the Galamsey menace to end. He'll be telling us, giving us some updates as to where we are right now. Okay, so I'm told Ken Ashigbi is ready. Ken Ashigbi, what is our state as we speak in terms of fighting against Galamsey?
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, the state is not good. It is reminiscent with when we started fighting or getting back to an election. The impunity then abounds. So all the state actors almost tend to roll back the compliance and the enforcement regime. So if you go back onto most of the major river bodies, the Champans are back on the river bodies. If you go towards the Nyampuri, towards Wasai Kropong, you see the mining close to, the road, endangering the road. you will find out that if you go under some of these high silos, they are sitting under silos. And in fact, once we get close, what we have very, you remember last around, but we got to the point where very expensive. For example, recent Cocoa Board, loan that they were contract help put steps and all of that. Fell through because of water for the space. And I don't know if they were waiting for to take the side. We cannot go on by cutting that we are.
Well, we seem to have a bit of a difficulty hearing you. Is it possible to reposition yourself so we can have a fair idea of what you're saying?
Can you hear me now?
Right, it's better right now.
Okay. So do you want me to repeat what I said?
Right, getting to the end, we lost you a bit. So if you could just...
Okay. No, so I was just saying that it's as if we go through a particular cycle. Once it's getting close to an election, we then tend to leave everything. It was the same thing that happened when we started fighting this illegality, before the 2020 elections. When we're getting close to the elections, everything was left to the dogs. And then all the gains that had been made has been rolled out. And now we're beginning to see the impunity again. We're beginning to see our water bodies, the Chamfants are back on our water bodies. They are mining close to the communities, close to the roads. They are mining under this high voltage pipe that you cannot come down, and they partake of all. And so we need the public to take that for a ride. And it's because of the process of fire. You don't have
What's your judgment? What's your judgment? Has the situation improved from where we were before the president threw that fight against Galamsey, or it has deteriorated?
Well, you see, so if you look at it, there were some major gains that were done. I say to people that look at the opportunity cost. If you had not done the fights that were there, before when the media got involved and the president put his presidency at stake, where would we have been? But then, when we did all of that, getting close to the elections, then we threw everything to the dogs. And the intervention starts right after elections. So when the Honorable Jinapo came, we saw a bit of some action, Operation Halt, and all of that going on. But the consistency of it and the fact that, they are vested in a typical example, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources points out Akunta Mining, which has the MP, now chairperson as a director of, as being responsible in the tax fight. What if the Minister collaborated up to the police are handling it, the media transportation, nothing has happened. So wait.
All right, so that's Dr. Ken Ashigbe. Unfortunately, his line is not too clear, but he's made the point. Well, let me bring in the NDC Deputy General Secretary, Mustafa Gbande. Your flag bearer, John Mahama, says that he's going to make appointees in his government who are engaged in illegal mining to resign. How different or what solution does this bring if people go do all of this and are not made to face the law and they only have to resign? Do you still have Mustafa Gbande?
Yes, I'm here. Aja, can you hear me?
Yes, Mustafa.
So good afternoon to my colleagues at the other side. I think that it's a good call, a big agenda, a big news for the people of this country, particularly at a point where we began the fight against illegal mining when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was in power as president, and then handed over to President Akufo-Addo. Now, we do not have what we call illegal mining or at a small scale. We have it at a higher scale, perpetrated by high political officers. I've heard my brother Ken Ashigbe talk about when we are suddenly back to the cycle. We are not back to the cycle. We cannot continue to dance around the fire. We should step into the fire, point fingers as President Akufo-Addo, call him out for endorsing, conniving, sitting down and not, fighting the issue of Galamsey and allowing his own appointees, people in the Jubilee House. In fact, if you go to the field, national security operatives are the ones who protect illegal mining, because the people who are involved in it are no longer ordinary young men and women who engage in it. They are politicians of high influence. They are able to move the military. They are able to move national security. In fact, you are aware that even the Forestry Commission said that some illegal miners have taken over some forests, that they are not even able to go there because the kind of arms that these people use, they don't have those kind of arms. We are not in a war state. We are in a country of rule of law. We have the military, we have the police. In the midst of all these security agencies, we can say that people are doing illegal mining with weapons that are better than what the Forestry Commission has. It means that they wield high political power. And this is the time that President Mahama is saying that given the status quo, where senior government appointees, government officials, senior politicians are the one destroying our vegetation, our forest, and our environment, he is saying that his commitment is that when he comes to power as president, if you are an appointee and you are suspected to be involved in what is being done under President Akufo-Addo, you resign, because you may not be able to have the influence that you have to be able to do illegal mining. Imagine if the national organizer of MPP is involved in Galamsey, which military officer can go and stop him? Imagine if you have a minister of state engaged in issue of illegal mining, who can go and stop him? Professor Frimpong Boateng has indicated as part of the reason why he resigned that he was getting it tough to deal with government officials and senior politicians within the President Akufo-Addo government when it came to issues of environment, issues of mining, and issues of illegal mining in particular. And so we are not at a cycle where politicians are talking. We are at a place where one of the highest misfortunes of the legacies of President Akufo-Addo is that he has succeeded in destroying our water bodies. He has succeeded in ensuring that his government officials destroy our forest reserve in the name of pretentiously planting trees when we are destroying what we have. They have destroyed forest reserve, and also mountainous areas where we have forests have all been destroyed. If you go to the western regions, the central regions, and the Ashanti regions, Aisha is very sad that contrary to their claim that there is no illegal mining, I can tell you, even DCs under President Akufo-Addo are engaged in mining.
So,
and that is illegal.
We've seen the NPP deploy drones and all of that, but we're still here. Your flag bearer wants to use AI to fight illegal mining. How?
The issue of President Akufo-Addo's regime deploying drones was for the concept and the optics. They never did anything. The very day they tell you they are deploying drones, that very day they ask their own people to park their excavators and then go out. Then the following day, when they don't deploy the drones, they go back to mine. That is what they do. And they use national security as their security to help them mine. That is what is happening. And these people wield pistols when they are in the forest there.
So how will AI aid the fight against Galamsey?
Of course, I'm yet to get a bit detail of how we are going to do that. But I believe that it is possible for us to use a will, tool, plus any technology. If you don't have the will, no technology can fight illegal mining. And President Akufo-Addo doesn't have the will. He didn't have the will. Not just that, they are engaged in it and they are benefiting in it. So President Akufo-Addo has first demonstrated that when he is president, his appointees will not be engaged in mining. President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia cannot proud themselves with same because they are deep neck rooted in this crime against the Republic.
Richard
and they can never deny it.
Richard Ahiangba, who is communications director of the NPP, is also with us. Ms. Ahiangba, I mean, you heard Mustafa Gbande, and of course, we've heard Professor Frimpong Boateng, and even the Attorney General at some point complained that there are some powerful people behind this Galamsey, the reason we've not been able to fight. What has been the challenge of government in dealing with this menace?
Good afternoon to your cherished listeners and viewers, and good afternoon to my brother Mustafa. Mustafa is one of the finest communicators of the NDC, the Deputy General Secretary, but I think he's gradually becoming dangerously infected by their propaganda ways, so he won't answer the question except to blame and call names and chastise His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That's not communication necessarily. That is just propaganda, and I think that we need to make that point. On the matter of Galamsey, I'll be very honest with you. It's an existential problem. For a long time, in all these conversations, I've just had very limited exposure to the real environment where Galamsey happened. Until recently, where I actually took a trip, went to many of these sites, and I was gobsmacked. The problem of Galamsey is existential. We must put it in perspective. It is destroying our environment. We are watching it, and it's happening in real time. And I think that we need to be decisive about dealing with the matter, take it away from the realms of politics and situate it as a social problem, as an economic problem, and deal with it fair and square. So if we concentrate on the positioning of the issue and contextualize it properly, then it goes away from the realms of politics. What I think the problem is not for want of political will, is not for want of the government's support and investment in the efforts to fight it. It is a social problem that is difficult to find, to actually confront, unless we mobilize all of society to be able to engage in that fight. Now, when I'm talking all society, all structure, you see, His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, his first stop in dealing with this was to mobilize the chiefs, to say that to address this, we must engage the chiefs, and the chiefs must be the leading light in fighting this, because the land is vested in them. All these lands that are being mined are land that are owned by the chiefs. And so, if anybody at any given time would go and mine on the land, destroy it, and the owner of the land doesn't say anything or have anything to say about it, then you know there's a problem.
But the people behind this, they are powerful people. How can the chiefs fight them?
I am not sure that the laws of this land is a respecter of person. And that is one of the fallacies that we must correct. The idea that there are people so powerful in this country.
But recently there were politicians who were pointed out to be involved in Galamsey, but nothing happened to those people.
Yeah, but the point is that merely alleging is not evidence conclusive for prosecution. There's a lot of that. I just gave you evidence now. My brother Mustafa is talking and pointing hands at president, calling name and all of that. That is not evidence. Anybody can allege. I can even right now tell you that Mustafa is a Galamseyer. What is the evidence? But what I can tell you...
How about the man that the president put in charge of this fight, who comes out to say politicians are not allowing him to do his job?
Well, so is he... you can, I can't have a proverb that says that if you can't carry your load, you blame your catering. How do you say it in English?
Is that what it is? Is that what it really is?
No, I'm saying that. I'm just letting you know. Anybody, if you put, you are in charge of this program. If you tell me that you can't control us, then maybe Joy FM or multimedia should be thinking about how you continue this program tomorrow. But clearly, if you are put in charge with a clear mandate to do a job, you can't come back and tell me that somebody is constraining you. You have the law. Apply the law. Let the law be your strength. Because when you are put in charge of any piece of work in government, it is not your physical strength that's what you're going to use. You use the laws. So if the laws are backing you to do a job and you come back and tell me that somebody is constraining you, I'm sorry, but that is just simply an excuse. That is not tenable, right? That's why Professor Frimpong Boateng is not in the job. We need somebody who would go there, leverage the laws, and get the job done. The president has made a clear commitment. He is committed, but he cannot be the one on the field doing that job. He can have lieutenants. And if the lieutenants are not doing the job, he'll change them. But the point is that alone will not solve the problem. We need every structure of society to be mobilized. Every structure of society to be mobilized. And the president is committed to doing that. Now, you see, the point I would make, which is going to the NDC, is that they only pay lip service to these things. We've seen in their record, everything they say they will do, they can only talk about it, but in practical terms have not delivered. Mustafa is telling me about Galamsey and Akufo-Addo and all of that had destroyed our lands when they were in office. It got to a point they literally gave up. And the Honorable Inusaf would say, the former MP for Tamale Center, he was in charge of lands and natural resources and practically gave up. They gave up. You know, in 2020, even far back in 2016, they were promoting Galamsey. NDC, they are beneficiaries of Galamsey. They are active promoters of Galamsey. You know, in 2020, the former deputy communication officer was going about in the mining communities promising an era of Galamsey if they were voted into power in 2020. The former president himself, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, went to an event in Mpoho and many other places and promised that when elected as president, he would free all the convicts of Galamsey. Now, the idea is that we are trying to fight the thing, and you are making an allegation that some powerful people are not arrested. But somehow,
so this is a justification. Is this a justification?
Let me just end on this point. I can ask you a question. Somehow, some people have been apprehended, taken through the legal process, and found guilty and are jailed. You are telling us that when you come, you free those people. You free them to go and do what? You free them to go and Galamsey, because if you free them, then you have completely enabled them, because the deterrent, which is sanction, has been completely erased. And so therefore you are encouraging and enabling people to continue Galamsey by that singular comment. And so when it comes to fighting Galamsey, I want to submit to you that the NDC is not one to look at. This whole idea of AI to fight Galamsey, I tell you with all humility that it's a vote-seeking gimmick. It's a rhetoric. It has nothing behind it to fight anything. That's why most of my good brother, very sharp, intelligent young man, could not give you any explanation. It could not divine any reasonable explanation to explain to you what that AI-powered plan would be. Because he knows in his bones that they don't have any real commitment. If Galamsey need to vote for the...
Mr. Ayagba, let me give Mustafa Gbande a minute to respond to the issues, because we have to also go and pick. Mustafa Gbande, you have to be quick for me, because we have to pick your press conference. Yeah. So Mr. Ayagba says we shouldn't take you serious if you promise us that you'll be fighting Galamsey.
Hello?
Mustafa Gbande, if you can hear me, Richard Ayagba says we should not take your flag bearer serious if he promises to fight Galamsey.
I won't be surprised if President Akufo-Addo himself is involved directly in these things. One, there is no willpower. Two, the MPP government doesn't have a good will when it comes to fighting Galamsey, because high-up government officials are involved. There is public evidence, public knowledge. We all know that. In fact, they have even promoted 2 of these people, high-up officials who are accomplices in this thing. Charles Bisu as parliamentary candidate, the other one in Cape Coast North as parliamentary candidate. The MPP endorses it and they enjoy it.
All right, Mustafa Gbande, thank you very much. We'll have to move to your headquarters and pick the press conference being addressed by your General Secretary.
The EC initiated this year's limited voter registration exercise on Tuesday, May 7, 2024, across all district offices and selected remote electoral areas. From the outset, the process has been marred by chaos, rampant lawlessness, delays, postponements, network failures, and power outages that have been the order of the day. Recall that just a day before the exercise commenced, on May 16, 2024, Mrs. Jean Mensah, chairperson of the EC, held a press conference where she made several alarming statements. These remarks concern the recruitment of returning officers, deputy returning officers, and registration supervisors, alongside assurances of the EC's preparedness for the registration exercise. However, as you have all witnessed, it has become clear that the Electoral Commission has not learned from past mistakes. The evidence shows a distinction of unpreparedness and a disregard for the necessary reforms to prevent these recurring issues. This lack of foresight and preparation undermines the trust and integrity required to conduct fair elections and puts the democratic future of our dear country at grave risk. Now, on the issue, the recruitment of returning officers, deputy returning officers, and registration supervisors. Mrs. Jean Mensah announced in her press conference that the Commission has appointed returning officers and deputy returning officers for the 2024 general elections and will use them as registration and deputy registration supervisors for the limited voter registration exercise. We submit that the EC has acted unlawfully by violating Regulation 8(1) and 2 of CI 91, as amended by CI 126. And the law states as follows. 1, the Commission shall make available to the interested persons and parties at the district office the names and pictures of persons it proposes to appoint as registration supervisors, registration officers, registration assistants, and any other officials for the centers not later than 14 days before they are appointed. 2, third political party or an interested person may, in writing, object to any person proposed for appointment as a registration supervisor, a registration officer, a registration assistant, or any other officials within 7 days after the names of the proposed officers have been made available. Now, did the Electoral Commission comply with the mandated requirement for the transparent recruitment of returning officers, deputy returning officers, and registration supervisors?
Fifi Avikwete is General Secretary of the NDC. Get more of that press conference in our subsequent bulletins. That will be it for your election brief. It's on your election headquarters. Election headquarters is for an informed electorate. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.